In a bold public statement, the Browns star receiver Jerry Jeudy slammed head coach Kevin Stefanski for refusing to name Shedeur Sanders the starting quarterback. Jeudy's message wasn't just about favoritism, it was about merit, unity, and credibility. He praised Sanders' relentless preparation and leadership, saying teammates had already bought in, while Stefanski clung to outdated ideas about experience. This wasn't a casual comment, it was a locker room shot across the bow, drawing battle lines between the players and the staff. And Jeudy's not alone. Defensive anchor Myles Garrett echoed the sentiment, praising Sanders' poise and maturity, intensifying the pressure on Stefanski to stop hesitating and start leading.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
This is no longer a quiet internal disagreement, it's a full-blown leadership crisis with the future of a franchise quarterback hanging in the balance. Stefanski's reluctance has triggered national media backlash, sparked internal frustration, and sent a dangerous message about Cleveland's willingness to back its own talent. The longer this drags on, the more leverage Sanders loses, and the more likely another team like the Raiders swoops in. This isn't just about a starter spot. It's about whether Cleveland can keep its locker room intact and avoid becoming the franchise that watched its future walk away. The Cleveland Browns are on fire, and not the good kind. What's supposed to be a promising new chapter for the franchise is spiraling into a locker room mutiny, fueled by one decision, or indecision, from head coach Kevin Stefanski. At the center of the chaos? Rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders. And it's not just fans who are fed up. When Jerry Jeudy, yes, that Jerry Jeudy, steps up and publicly endorses a rookie quarterback over his own coach's judgment, you know something's broken. In a rare move, the star wide receiver went straight to the press, throwing his full weight behind Sanders and openly questioning Stefanski's hesitation. This wasn't a cryptic tweet or a vague comment in a post-game interview. This was Jeudy standing tall, pointing directly at the leadership vacuum inside the Browns organization. And let's be clear, Jeudy didn't just praise Shedeur's talent. He went in on the coach, accusing Stefanski of ignoring hard work, leadership, and locker room trust. For a player of Jeudy's caliber to say all that out loud? That's a 5-alarm fire inside any NFL front office. But Jeudy isn't standing alone. Defensive powerhouse and locker room leader Myles Garrett chimed in too, echoing the same message. Garrett called out Sanders' dedication, his professionalism, and most importantly, his readiness. This isn't about potential anymore. The guys on the field believe Sanders is ready now. So what's Stefanski's deal? Apparently the coach still isn't convinced. He's doubling down on the idea that Sanders is too young, lacks experience, and needs more time to develop. Which, okay, sounds reasonable, if there wasn't an entire locker room basically begging you to start the kid. This isn't just a quarterback controversy. It's an all-out internal rebellion. And here's where it gets messier. The media? They've turned on Stefanski too. Analysts, fans, and former players are all wondering the same thing. What more does Shedeur Sanders have to prove? From everything we've seen and heard, the guy shows up, leads like a vet, and has earned the respect of the entire roster. Yet somehow the coaching staff is still clinging to outdated metrics and hypothetical worst-case scenarios. Meanwhile, the locker room is cracking. When offensive leaders and defensive captains are publicly contradicting the head coach, you've got a leadership crisis on your hands. And Stefanski doesn't seem to be doing much to stop the bleeding. His stubbornness is painting the picture of a coach out of step with his players, holding back a potential franchise QB out of fear, or worse, ego. That kind of tension doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It festers. It divides. And right now, the Browns are flirting with a full-on implosion. The fans see it. The media sees it. Other teams definitely see it. Rumors are already swirling that franchises like the Las Vegas Raiders are circling the situation, watching and waiting in case Cleveland fumbles this opportunity. If the Browns don't act soon, they risk losing Sanders before he's even had a real shot to shine. Let's pause for a second and acknowledge how wild that is. You've got a young quarterback who's not only ready to take the reins, but already has the locker room behind him. That kind of buy-in? It's rare. And if you let it go to waste? That's not just a coaching failure. That's a franchise-level disaster. The Browns are at a fork in the road, and it's not just about Shedeur. This is about culture, trust, accountability. Do you reward hard work and leadership when you see it? Or do you stick to an outdated playbook, even when the house is burning down around you? Stefanski's refusal to name Sanders the starter has become the central fault line in a much bigger story. It's not just about who plays on Sunday, it's about how decisions get made in this organization. And right now, the signal being sent is that merit takes a backseat to caution. That locker room unity is less important than a coach's need to control the narrative. And that's dangerous. Because once players start to feel like their voices don't matter, that their trust and belief in a teammate counts for nothing, you lose them. Not just emotionally but on the field. Chemistry tanks. Performance drops. And before you know it, the season's slipping away, not because of talent, but because leadership didn't listen. The irony is that Shedeur Sanders seems to be doing everything right. He's working hard, leading with humility, staying focused. He hasn't made this about himself. But the longer Stefanski drags this out, the more he turns Sanders into a symbol of wasted potential, of leadership failure, of what happens when fear wins out over trust. And let's not ignore the PR side of this. The Browns are facing public backlash that's only getting louder. Every week that Sanders stays on the bench, the narrative grows. Fans are frustrated. Analysts are roasting the decision-making. Even national media is highlighting the disconnect between the players and coaching staff. This isn't just a local story anymore. It's a league-wide spectacle, and not in a good way. There's a reason other teams are watching so closely. Quarterbacks like Sanders don't grow on trees. If Cleveland keeps playing scared, someone else is going to swoop in and offer him the spotlight he deserves. And that's when the regrets start piling up. Because if you're the Browns and you had the guy, but you let ego or indecision get in the way, that's the kind of mistake that haunts a franchise for years. The kind of what if that gets replayed over and over as your team misses the playoffs, while Sanders lights it up somewhere else. Let's be real, this isn't just a quarterback controversy. It's a full-on credibility crisis. Stefanski's authority is being tested in real time, and so far, the results aren't looking great. The locker room is rebelling, the fans are fuming, and the vultures are circling. You've got Jerry Jeudy and Myles Garrett, the heart and soul of this team, siding against the coach. You've got the media dragging Cleveland's front office through the mud. And you've got a ticking clock because every week this drags on, the damage multiplies. At some point, leadership has to stop hiding behind hypotheticals and start responding to what's actually happening. Sanders is ready. The team knows it. The league sees it. And every second he's benched, the Browns look more lost. If Cleveland fumbles this moment, it won't just be a missed opportunity, it'll be a defining failure. Because here's the truth, the NFL doesn't wait for you to get it together. It rewards bold moves, clear decisions, teams that recognize talent and act on it. The Browns have a chance, right now, to change the narrative. But if they keep playing scared, they'll lose more than just games. They'll lose trust, momentum, and possibly the quarterback their future was supposed to be built around. This could have been the start of something great. Instead, it's a cautionary tale unfolding in real time. Let us know where you stand. Should Shedeur Sanders be starting right now? Is Kevin Stefanski in over his head? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're here for the drama, hit like, subscribe, and buckle up, because this NFL season is already wild and we're just getting started. Alright, let's get into the second half of this saga, because what's happening in Cleveland isn't just a quarterback debate. It's a slow-motion identity crisis. And the longer it drags out, the uglier it gets. Let's not kid ourselves, this isn't Stefanski versus Sanders. It's Stefanski versus everyone. When you have offensive and defensive leaders breaking ranks in public, that's not a disagreement. That's a warning shot. Jerry Jeudy isn't just advocating for a teammate, he's calling out the system. And Myles Garrett? That's not a man who talks unless he means it. If both sides of the ball are backing Sanders, Stefanski is now the one standing alone. And yet, nothing. No announcement. No clarity. No leadership. Just vague statements about development and waiting for the right moment. Which, let's be honest, is just PR code for, I don't want to be wrong. Because this isn't about readiness anymore. It's about pride. It's about a coach who'd rather lose with his plan than win with someone else's. And that's where things start to go off the rails. Because in the NFL, once a coach starts coaching for control instead of results, the locker room tunes out. And from what we're seeing, that tuning out has already started. You can only stall momentum for so long before it turns into resistance. There's also this lingering sense that Stefanski just doesn't get it. This isn't some washed vet trying to hold onto a dream. This is a rookie who's done everything right. Who's shown maturity, command, and leadership beyond his years. The players respect him. The media sees it. The fans want it. And yet here we are, still in limbo because one man refuses to make the call. And the risk now isn't just a bad start to the season. It's something deeper, An erosion of trust. Not just in Stefanski but in the entire organizational structure. Because if you're a Browns player right now, what are you thinking? You grind through camp, you push through the preseason, you watch a guy show up day in and day out, and then you see the coaching staff hesitate. You see them hesitate not because he failed but because they're scared of being wrong. Scared of criticism. Scared of what it might mean if they hand the keys to a rookie. That's how you lose faith. That's how you lose a locker room. And that loss? It's not just emotional, it's practical. Players stop listening. Leaders stop buying in. And the team becomes a collection of individuals just waiting for the next exit. It's a culture killer. And it's exactly the kind of slow death that franchises can't afford. Meanwhile, let's not ignore what's brewing in the background. The Raiders, and probably a few other teams, are watching closely. Because if there's one thing the NFL is really good at, it's sniffing out undervalued talent. If the Browns want to play games with their future, there are 31 other teams ready to cash in on that mistake. And once that narrative picks up steam, once Sanders' camp starts hearing whispers that, hey, if they don't want you, we do, the clock starts ticking. The Browns don't just risk losing Shedeur. They risk losing the chance to build around him. Because quarterbacks like him, young, hungry, and already earning the respect of veterans, don't wait forever. They don't want to be part of a political game. They want to lead. And if they can't do that in Cleveland, someone else will open the door. Let's also talk about what this says to the fan base. Because Browns fans? They've been through it. Years of heartbreak, busted draft picks, and false hope. They know dysfunction when they see it. So when they finally have a promising rookie, and the team still finds a way to mess it up, that trust starts cracking all over again. And the worst part? The fans are ahead of the curve. They see the locker room support. They hear the media. They're ready to rally around Shedeur. But the people making the decisions are stuck in neutral, afraid of backlash, afraid of being wrong, afraid of letting go of control. That disconnect? It's how you lose more than games. It's how you lose the city. And let's be honest, Cleveland can't afford to lose anything else. Not after everything this franchise has been through. This was supposed to be the start of something new. A reset. A chance to finally have a QB worth building around, one who actually wants to be there. And yet, here we are again, watching fear and indecision drain the life out of a golden opportunity. And don't think the rest of the league isn't watching. Because this has already become a conversation around leadership. Around what it means to deserve a shot. Around whether NFL teams are actually willing to reward hard work, or if they're just chasing comfort. It's becoming a case study in what not to do when your team is on the verge of something special. And all of it, the drama, the chaos, the internal rebellion, could be avoided with one decision. Start the guy. Give him the shot he's earned. Let the locker room rally. Take the risk that maybe, just maybe, he's ready. But the longer Stefanski waits, the less this looks like caution and the more it looks like stubbornness. The more it looks like a coach prioritizing control over connection. And in the NFL? That never ends well. Because even if Stefanski holds on for now, even if the front office backs him, the players never forget. They remember who was with them. Who had their back. Who believed in the guy they believed in. And when contracts expire, when trades come up, when free agents start looking around, that trust, or lack of it, comes back into play. This whole thing? It's bigger than a quarterback decision. It's about identity. It's about whether the Browns are going to step into the future or stay stuck in the past. And right now, that future is slipping through their fingers. So the question isn't whether Shedeur Sanders is ready. That's already been answered, by his teammates, by his work ethic, by the support he's earned. The real question is, are the Browns? Because time's running out. And if they don't act soon, they won't just lose a quarterback. They'll lose everything he represents. Let's keep going because the pressure cooker in Cleveland hasn't even hit its final boil. Every day that passes without Shedeur Sanders getting the starting nod, the Browns are sending a message. Not just to the team but to the entire league. And the message is loud, clear, and baffling. We don't trust the guy everyone else believes in. That kind of move? It ripples. Because when a rookie comes into the league and earns the respect of veterans this fast, you don't question it, you capitalize on it. You build around it. That spark doesn't come often. And the fact that players like Jerry Jeudy and Myles Garrett, who have zero incentive to stir the pot unless it really matters, are speaking out, that tells you how deep this runs. Let's not forget, these are two of the Browns' biggest voices. Two players who have seen the league chew people up and spit them out. If they're putting their names behind Shedeur Sanders, it's because he's passed every test internally, the ones that really count. So for Stefanski to ignore that? It's more than hesitation. It's defiance. He's not just doubting a player. He's doubting the entire locker room. And you don't do that unless you're either incredibly confident or dangerously disconnected. This whole saga exposes something bigger, a philosophical clash between old-school coaching conservatism and modern locker room dynamics. The NFL has changed. Players want transparency. They want meritocracy. They want leadership that actually listens instead of hiding behind vague coach speak and cautious game plans. But Stefanski? He's playing a different game. One where trust is a one-way street, and leadership means telling, not hearing. And that's a problem. Because you can't run a team in 2025 like it's 2012. Players talk. They post. They listen to each other. When someone like Jerry Jeudy speaks up, it's not just a quote, it's a signal. It's a rallying cry. And now, the locker room is watching Stefanski very, very closely. The tension isn't hypothetical anymore. It's tangible. And what happens if Sanders doesn't get the nod? What happens if the Browns stumble out of the gate with someone else under center, and the whispers in the locker room become shouts? You already know. That's when fractures become fault lines. That's when players start checking out. That's when leadership is exposed, not in a press conference, but in body language on the sidelines, in offhand post-game comments, in subtle jabs during interviews. It all adds up. And that's how seasons fall apart before they even get started. The Browns had a clean slate. A new chance. A quarterback with pedigree, poise, and the locker room's full backing. And now, they're turning it into yet another self-inflicted crisis. And let's talk about the pressure on Shedeur himself. Because this kid has done everything right. And still, he's being held back by forces completely out of his control. He hasn't been loud. He hasn't stirred drama. He's been quiet, focused, and professional while the storm brews around him. That takes composure. That takes maturity. That takes leadership. Ironically, the exact quality Stefanski claims he's still looking for. If this is how Cleveland treats its most prepared rookie QB in years, what does that say to the next wave of talent? What does it say to future draft picks? Free agents? Coaches? It says, be great, but we still might bench you. And that is a disaster for culture. Because now the Browns aren't just risking Shedeur, they're putting their entire identity on the line. Are they a team that trusts its players? Or a team that second-guesses them? Are they a team that believes in earned opportunities? Or a team that hides behind caution and control? The scary truth? They haven't decided. And the indecision itself is the answer. Let's zoom out for a second. This is the NFL. This is the hardest league in sports to win in. Every game is high stakes. Every locker room is full of egos, ambition, and pressure. The only thing that holds it together? Belief. Not just in the system, but in each other. When your players believe in a guy and leadership refuses to see it, the glue starts to crack. The bond between the coaching staff and the players? It frays. And when that bond breaks, you can't fix it with a pep talk or a playbook. You fix it by listening, by trusting, by acting. So let's be blunt. What is Stefanski waiting for? Does he think Sanders is suddenly going to become more of a leader than he already is? That the locker room is going to respect him even more than they already do? This isn't a risk. It's a layup. And Cleveland's leadership is standing under the basket, holding the ball, refusing to shoot. And it gets worse. Because the longer Stefanski delays, the more toxic this gets. He's now competing against his own players' belief system. That's a battle no coach wants. That's how you end up isolated in your own locker room, explaining to blank stares why the best guy isn't playing. And every snap Sanders doesn't take becomes another data point. Another reason for doubt. Another moment for fans and analysts to say, see? They're wasting him. That's how narratives take shape. And narratives in the NFL? They're hard to shake. If Sanders gets scooped up by another team, like the Raiders or anyone with a functioning front office, and thrives, that's it. Stefanski becomes the coach who had it and let it walk. The Browns become the team that lost their future because they were too scared to grab it. And the front office? They don't get a pass in this either. If they let this play out and back Stefanski to the bitter end, they own it. This isn't just a coaching decision, it's a franchise-defining one. Meanwhile, Shedeur? He's the eye of the storm. Calm, quiet, but undeniably central to everything. Whether he plays or not, he becomes the focal point. Every loss without him? That's on Stefanski. Every game where the offense stalls? That's another argument in Sanders' favor. There is no escaping it. The only way forward is through. The Browns either commit to the guy the team already believes in, or they watch their culture collapse under the weight of indecision. And the wildest part? This could have all been avoided. If Stefanski had just trusted what everyone else sees, what's blindingly obvious, this wouldn't be a crisis. It'd be a celebration. A new era. A fan base finally rallying around a QB worth believing in. Instead, we're watching yet another Browns implosion, this time caused entirely from within. So what's next? Do they course correct? Do they listen to their players and give Sanders the shot he's clearly earned? Or do they keep dragging their feet, hoping the locker room magically forgets who they trust? The clock is ticking. The pressure is mounting. And the NFL doesn't wait. If Cleveland doesn't act fast, they're not just risking a few games. They're risking the soul of their team. Every day that Shedeur Sanders doesn't get the start, the noise only gets louder. From the locker room. From the fans. From the media. From every corner of the NFL world that's staring at Cleveland with the same confused, exasperated expression. What are you doing? The Browns aren't just delaying a quarterback decision. They're risking a full-blown identity collapse. The team knows who they want to lead them. The fans know who they believe in. The talent is sitting right there in front of them, helmet on, ready to go. And still, they wait. You can feel it coming to a head. That moment when the patience runs out. When veterans stop hinting and start demanding. When fans start booing play calls and chanting Sanders' name from the stands. Because once that switch flips, there's no going back. Stefanski has backed himself into a corner. By not acting, he's turned a simple decision into a referendum on his leadership. Every delay, every week of indecision makes the hole deeper. He's not just risking a quarterback controversy, he's daring the entire locker room to stop trusting him. And let's not sugarcoat this, that trust is fragile right now. Myles Garrett? Jerry Jeudy? These aren't rookies or fringe players. These are your core. Your leaders. When they publicly back Sanders, they're sending a message. And it's not just about who should be under center. It's about who they believe in more, their teammate or their coach. The longer this standoff goes on, the more obvious that answer becomes. And look, this isn't a fairy tale. Even if Sanders does get the start, there's no guarantee of a perfect outcome. He's still a rookie. He'll make mistakes. There'll be bumps. But that's the price of progress. That's how growth happens. What matters is who the team believes in when they step onto the field. And right now, that's Sanders. This isn't about babying a young quarterback. It's about honoring what he's already earned. His teammates are risking their reputations to speak out for him. The coaching staff? They're risking the season, and maybe more, by ignoring that loyalty. That disconnect? It's a ticking time bomb. You can't lead a team that doesn't trust your decisions. You can't build a future around a player you're too scared to play. And you definitely can't win in this league by second-guessing your locker room every step of the way. So what's it gonna be, Cleveland? You've got the talent. You've got the support. You've got the moment. All that's left is the decision. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Stefanski make the switch now? Has this gone too far already? Like, if you're watching this meltdown unfold in real time, subscribe for more unfiltered breakdowns and stay tuned. Because whatever the Browns choose next, it's going to define everything.